Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, we're mostly going to be doing a bunch of cleaning up and upgrading across the map, as we've been adding a bunch of new connections and everything, but we've sort of strayed away from getting into some of the finer details in some of those areas. So what I'd like to do is to go through and update some of those things, maybe go back to previous places and upgrade the details there, since we now have those industries much more upgraded than they were before, and then just going through and making sure our cities are set up for success. So coming back to this steel mill, it still seems our traffic troubles are still beginning to pile up, so I think what we're going to try is to have a 4-lane road here, so that the lane all the way on the right can be used for vehicles turning in to the steel mill, and then the ones going straight can pretty much just go straight out to wherever they'll be going. So we'll upgrade that road. I think we'll also include this one, as I guess that's okay, having one lane go left and one lane go right coming out of the steel mill. And then I think we'll leave this as a 2-lane road so that this lane here stays as a right turn only. Because if we upgrade this one will become straight or right turn, and that will just cause a bunch of extra traffic that we probably don't want there. Or another thing we can do, since we're only really getting traffic coming on this road, is to use one of these asymmetrical roads, so that we upgrade it so that this lane here has 2 lanes, and this lane stays as a single lane on this side. So I think let's actually do that, and then we can bring this road back down to just a 2-lane road, and hopefully that functions exactly how we want. So the only downside to this is it seems, unfortunately, the left portion of this road turned into a straight or a right turn, so it seems most of these trucks are just using this left lane to either go straight or turn to the right. So we'll see how that ends up working out later, but we'll leave this for now, and if not, we can come back and upgrade it to the large country road where we only have 1 lane turning and 1 lane going straight. So coming back here to one of our first lines, I actually think this was the first line that we set up and connected. I want to redo this truck station so that it matches the look of this oil field better. As much as I like this platform here with the oil filling platform, it being completely paved over doesn't quite match with the pretty much all dirt style of the industry itself. So what we're going to do is come in here and delete this station, and then we'll come in, we'll pick this kind of truck station, because this one allows us to have it pretty much just have whatever textures we want. So here at station ground, we can have it be dirt, and that would perfectly match everything else that we have here at this oil industry. So what we can do now is, after changing a couple of these settings to get it to be the right size, we can place this down right about here, I'd say. And if we take a look at this now, this matches the style of this area much better. We have the dirt roads coming into the dirt platforms here. Now the platforms are still made out of concrete, but I think that's okay in this context, since this is a loading and unloading area. If we really wanted to, we could have the terminal type just be the ground, and essentially we just get this dirt field, but I think I like the distinction here where the platforms are. So we should be able to let this play again, and this will all fix itself. And then really I think we just need to fix some of these assets and then we should be good to move on. Alright, so now I think this area looks pretty good. We might have to let these trucks space out. Hopefully we don't always have this kind of backup here. But I think this fits much better, gives a much cleaner look. So let's leave this and move on to the next area. Actually, one last thing we forgot to do here was put a fence around the whole area. Because I believe we placed all this before we had these fences that I found on the workshop. So I want to surround the industry with fences, so that will give it a much more realistic feel and help it blend in with the base industry a lot more. So let's just start here. We'll have it branch off at this corner, and then it can follow the road until we get right about to there. Then we can have it pick right back up, and this time it'll pretty much just follow the road until we get over to here. So then from this point on, it's pretty much just placing this wherever we want. And I think right about here works. And then we'll bring it across the backside of these oil wells. And then right about here, it can connect right up to the edge of this building. Alright, so then that gives us a much nicer look. I think we might come through and paint just a bit more dirt, since there's quite a good bit of grass over here. So we'll continue to just do this. Get some of that in there. We'll have to redo this gravel paving that we did. And then we'll come through and just click this down, the dirty water texture, right where all these wells meet the ground. Alright, so now I think I'm happy to say that this area is complete now. I think there's really not much more to do or add to it. The industry is fully maxed out, and from a distance you can't really tell where it starts and ends, which I think is a good thing. So with that, we'll move on to the next area. Alright, so the next area we're going to look at now is our passenger station in Albuquerque. We usually do these to have at least a parking lot or something, as we have in Winston-Salem over here and everywhere else on the line. So we're just going to do something small like that over here as well. It's not going to be anything big or huge, since Albuquerque isn't really like a hub city or anything for us. So we'll just have a nicer looking stop where a lot of people can come in. So for this, let's delete these buildings like so, and then we'll pause. And that gives us a nice little area here to work on and figure out what we want to do. We might upgrade the roads in this area, at least surrounding here, so whatever we build will pretty much look final. And then we can come in, find our asphalt, and then paint everything we want with this asphalt texture. Alright, so I think this is going to be the extent of the parking lot. We'll toss in a fence around the parking lot. So we'll just come through like this pretty much. And then we'll swing this back to the street. So then we'll just figure out where we can fit a couple of parking spots in here. We'll adjust this. I think we'll have them running this way. So let's start with 15 and see if that works. And it looks like 15 will work. We just might have some terrain issues we need to iron out quickly. So I think this gives us the parking lot that we want. Just a few cars will fit in here. Alright, and I think this is how we're going to leave this area off. We're not going to do anything too big or fancy here, since there probably wouldn't be too much at this train station anyway. So let's protect this with our collision tile, and then we can get to the next item. So while we're here at this Albuquerque train station, we do have a lot of people waiting here. Specifically, it goes straight to Jackson. So let's see if we can find this train, and maybe we can add an extra car or two, and hopefully we can do that without decreasing our top speed too much. So if we just take a look here quick before we add these cars, we can see we can reach our top speed in about 3 minutes on flat slopes. Then let's take a look if we add 2 more cars. That pretty much adds almost a whole minute in acceleration, which that I sort of don't like. So maybe it's time we redo this train. Alright, so instead of editing this vehicle, I think we're just going to duplicate it, and we'll let it run like that. So hopefully, if we check over here in Jackson, there's enough demand coming from Jackson to Albuquerque. Yeah, so that looks like pretty much our next hot, or our highest current in-demand line, so I suppose a second train is definitely warranted for that line. So hopefully we'll check back later, and hopefully we'll see those numbers a little bit lower. So the next area I want to do is this little tools line that we have, and there's not really too much more that we're going to do besides similar to what we did at the oil industry. We're probably going to replace this with a dirt station, so that fits a little bit better with the logging or the forest look. So let's come in here and we'll pause this. We will select a truck station, and now we might be able to do something interesting where we get this road to come in under this overhang, which might not actually look too terrible if we can get this to work properly. Alright, so I think this is what we're going to go with. I think we might actually have to come through and raise this up. So let's flatten the terrain here. Looks like it got lowered for some reason. So we'll come back and we'll line this up again so that we can place it pretty much right there. And I think that will line us up pretty easily to just connect up some streets. Alright, so I think this will do. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get nice roads that match, but we can hide this pretty well just by adding in some trees. So let's just find whichever trees these are, and then we'll just come through and place a couple of these right in here, and I think that covers it up quite nicely. And we can see here we use the all dirt one with no platforms because I think it makes sense that logs would just sort of be on the ground here. And if we look, our trucks don't collide with these posts, so that's exactly what we want coming into here. And then I think this platform is fine. The only thing is, I think we might want to redo our street connection. So we'll redo it like so, and that looks a lot better than it was before. So I think we can move on from here now. And then coming over to this tools factory, there's just a lot that I'd like to clean up in this area. So first is this road like we did before. we'll get that to be a regular street connection. And then I'd like to come through with the paint tool and just paint pretty much most of this area asphalt. So this way it'll cover up all these weird little footpaths that we have. We can come back through and repaint this tile that was here, so we can redo that. We might even continue it across the road here. So we'll have it pretty much like so. Get more asphalt. We'll cover this back up. And then we'll pretty much come through here and fill in this whole square. Since we didn't know we could do that before. And then I think we'll leave the outsides of the roads like that. We might fill in this patch with asphalt. So like that. And now I think this area has a much more continuity than it had before. It looks a lot cleaner now. We can bring the asphalt all the way up to the road. And I think having this path fully connect to this road also helps to add just that little bit more detail. So now one thing I've noticed just sort of flying around the map is that our city of Downey is beginning to grow quite quickly, and it's pretty much running out of space to expand. You can see there's this road here that's pretty much leading to a dead end as it sort of comes into this canyon. So the city's not really going to have space to grow this way. It's pretty much all filled in this little valley by the river. It is starting to expand this way, and we can see it's pretty much come up and started to take over the highway. We might come through and smooth out a lot of this terrain so that we don't get those ugly corners, at least in the areas where we can help it. So we'll do that. Maybe we'll just smooth out a bit more of this area up here. These roads could definitely be fixed. So let's see if maybe we can delete here, here, and maybe that can start to rise up. We'll smooth it all out again. So that doesn't look terrible. Maybe this street comes over and connects here instead. I'm not a huge fan of what it's doing this way, so let's delete that. And maybe we could encourage it to cut through this way and meet that road. Although that's not really a great road either. So maybe let's just delete all this and see if maybe we can get the city to try something new. We will smooth it all out since that left some bumps in the ground. We can see it's starting to sort of spill over this way, which isn't a bad spot to build, but it gets pretty far away from the city center. Now I don't know if the city will do it or not, but there's definitely space to build bridges so that it can utilize this whole plot of land here. So we're gonna give this city a little jump start and have a few bridges come across. So I think the first one will be this major four-way bridge that comes across here, and we can raise it just slightly, and then we can select the bridge we like. Now this river is pretty much entirely isolated, so it doesn't matter that we're blocking it. So then we can just bring it across like so. And now that looks very nice, and hopefully it will kickstart the city building over here. Now we will extend this road a good bit inland, so probably to about there. And then I think we'll have another bridge here. So we can have this come across like so. And then we'll connect that up right about there. And then one of these roads over here, I think we can have bridge across. And I think that road's going to be this one here. as it seems to be sort of an end to the city. So then we will raise up this bridge so that we get some clearance. We'll give it a little bit of a different bridge. We'll go with this one and connect that there. And then I think if we just connect these roads like so and clean up the edges, that gives us a nice groundwork that hopefully the city of Downey will start to fill in. Now, just across the river over here to Mesa, I think there's something that could be done here to fill in this space, as it seems very odd not to have some sort of main building connecting this road and our train station. Alright, so I think the building that we're going to place here is this goods industry building. It fits pretty nicely in this space here, and it doesn't look too out of place with it being a brick building and these buildings being brick, as well as this road down here still being brick. So we'll plop this in right next to the platform here so that it covers all the way up to the street. And I think it looks like that'll also cover all the way to the tracks as well. We might make this just a bit wider and maybe just a bit deeper as well. So then we'll come in here and get this placed right along the sidewalk, like so. Now I think that helps this look a good bit nicer. Let's just see. Yeah, so it seems like we can't place anything else here, but that's fine. I just think this building adds a nice little bit of flavor to this platform and sort of makes it known where the main entrance of this cargo train station is. So now that we've let this run for a little bit, I think we're gonna come back here and finish up this distribution center. I know last episode we said we'd work on it first thing, but we did eventually get around to it in this video, so let's figure out how we're going to do this. Now I think what this needs is probably some sort of warehouse building to act as sort of the main building in this area. So we'll find something that has a pretty decent size to it, but also one that wouldn't look too out of place. Alright, so we'll go with this building, and we'll plop that right along the sidewalk here. We'll come through, add some main doors right on this building here. So we'll get that placed pretty much right there. We'll come in, and we're not going to have any loading docks or anything. So this will sort of just pretty much be offices and sort of logistical space. However, we might actually get 2 doors placed right about here, just for any sort of back of house services that it might need. And then we'll come in with our paint tool and we'll paint pretty much the outline so we don't get any grass poking through the walls, and then the area where our parking lot and storage area is going to be. Alright, so we have our parking lot and storage area sectioned off. Let's now fill that in with our parking spaces. So we're going to have this side of the opening be parking and this side be storage. So we'll get enough parking spaces in here to fill that gap. It looks like we might be able to fit 15 in here, but let's go with 14 just to give ourselves a little bit of room. So like so. And then we'll be able to get 1 row in the middle. Well, actually, let's get this side first, and then we can evenly space that middle section. So now we should be able to just come in here and place this down like so. It's a little bit tight here, but I think from a distance you wouldn't really be able to tell. So let's get cars in here. We'll just quickly place a few down, like so, fill in the spaces, and then we'll transition over to the storage area. Alright, so we got our cars placed. Let's get, I think over here we'll do storage containers, and then around here we'll do some actual goods. So let's find where that is. So it looks like we have, let's go with a few 40-foot containers. Alright, so then we have these placed over here, and that's not looking too bad. I think it's a little odd that we have these sticking so high up, but I guess I'm okay with it for now. We'll see how it looks when this whole area is done up, but hopefully we can get that to look a little more natural once everything else is placed. So let's come in and we'll get a crane. I think maybe we'll only need one that's about 2 high. We'll go with this third color. We'll get that placed right there. And then we can begin to go around and place down our resources. So we will of course want to fence off the area where our resources are going to be. So we'll do this and follow it around like so, and then we'll leave a little opening on the end over here so that trucks and other things will be able to come in. So pretty much the idea is that this opening here would allow trucks to come in and other things if they need to. So let's now come through and place our resources down. We're mostly going to be putting goods, as it looks like a nice sort of end product to have laying around everywhere, since it's all nice in boxes. It's not like food where we have just open food laying around. So we'll fill that there. I think we'll get some plastics and machines on this side. So there we go with that. And then I don't think we'll place these trailers anywhere, but I think we will get some more storage containers lined up along the back side here. Alright, so I think this looks good then. We did end up adding a few trailers because these containers were getting to be a lot if we just filled up that whole back side there with them. So I think that looks good for this side. We now have to figure out what we want to do over here, and then that'll pretty much be this whole area finished. So I think we'll do a very similar thing. We'll fence off this whole area, and we'll get that to line up quite nicely there. Come over to this corner, get that placed right about there, and there we go. So now we have this fence finished. I don't really want to just repeat what we did here, so we will be placing goods, just maybe in a slightly different layout, just to provide some variety in this area. So let's come in here, see if maybe we could do something with a few 40-foot containers. Alright, so there we are with these containers. That leaves enough space here that we can pretty much just leave that open. And then along this side, let's get some different materials through here. So maybe if we can find where steel is, we'll get some steel going across this way, right along this fence. So there we go, now we have that. And I think we might get another crane facing the other way, so it would seem somewhat realistic that we got these over here. Or maybe we'll put it in this empty area. So let's find our cranes again. We'll keep it the same color for consistency, and I think we'll also keep it the same height. But then I believe this is lined up. We should be able to just place it right about there, and that would make sense. we will also get one more crane over here by the train so that we can fill this area up with containers and then pretty much finish this whole area off. So I think we're going to start a fence right here at the end, and we'll bring it straight out to cross the road pretty much right here. And then we'll want to extend that across like so. Here we're pretty much going to be fencing off this whole area now. So we'll bring it back far enough so that it reaches the building. Actually, we can just bring it to the road here. I think we can probably just place that there and then have it return into the building. So now this whole place is pretty much secure besides back here. So let's just finish that off. So we'll start here where these will then face the other direction. Hopefully that doesn't look too weird. So then we should be able to bring this fence all the way back to where the platform is. And I think that looks about right. And now we finally have this whole area fenced in, and then we can come back through and add a little security building like we did over at the distribution center in Jackson. Alright, so now let's get on to our security building. We'll probably have that placed right around here. So let's find something that would work. I think we used a commercial building when we did this before, so one of these small commercial buildings should do pretty well for us. So I think we'll go with this building. There's a lot of glass that you'd be able to see out from, so that would make sense. We'll just place that there. We'll find some asphalt. We'll bring the strength all the way up and paint out a nice area where this could be fenced in and closed off. So then we can pretty much just bring this around like so. So now that's all nice and fenced in. We'll get a car parked right along the side here. And then let's first clean this up. So we'll get some grass and repaint so that we get a nice border where the fence is. Like so. And over here, that looks good. We'll come into our parking assets. We'll get one of these large barriers, and then we'll pretty much just get one on this side and then one on this side. And then I think we'll just get one of these ticket machines right next to the barrier there, so that people coming in would be able to talk to the security building. And I think that's pretty much it for this area. So now we have this really nice distribution center where all of our goods come in by train, and then they'll come through, get redistributed by truck all the way back to the city of Montgomery. And as we see here, just driving through, so we get a chance to see sort of the first-person details of this area. It's interesting having it sort of tucked into this cliffside here. But I think the next thing we'll do is clean up the landscaping around here, and then we can pretty much just leave it. So I think a lot of this is going to be just the smooth tool. We'll smooth out the road here, smooth out this whole area, so that's a little bit nicer. Cliff face there is fine. We might flatten this area to give the road a bit of space. We might have to do a good amount of flattening so we get a natural kind of slope. So that works out. And then pretty much everything back here is just smoothing, and we'll want to make sure we don't interfere with everything we've placed so far. So we'll want to flatten this back a good bit. And then I think now we could probably come through and smooth, but it looks like we did get a little bit there in the parking lot. We can smooth out the top a bit, the bottom a bit, especially over here where it's like the tallest. We'll smooth out this area where we carved out for the train station. And then we'll come back through with this temperate noise template. And then just go over everything real quick with a quick click just to give it a bit of texture. Alright, so I think this looks good. I'm unsure if I want to add trees or not. I suppose they wouldn't hurt if we just did a little bit along the edge of the cliff back here. So we'll come through and pick the ones that we want. So I think pretty much these will do. We'll lower the strength a tiny bit, bring the brush size up, and then we'll just come through and paint all of this with trees. Alright, so there we are. And it looks like we're getting a good amount of resources in here. So there shouldn't really be much more that we have to do with that. And then coming back to this steel mill like we said we would, it looks like there's still just a tiny bit of traffic getting in and out of here. But it doesn't seem as bad as it was at the beginning of this episode. So I think I'm still okay to leave it how it is for now. And we'll just have to keep monitoring this over the course of the next couple of videos and make sure it actually does work properly. So now the last thing we're going to do real quick is just touch up some of these farms. So this one, we're going to, let's pause first, get one of these smaller street connections. Although it looks like there's a collision issue. Maybe it has to do with the road. Although it's not letting me delete the road either, so... Oh, well, I guess I have to get out of the configure menu. Alright, so now we got this street connection in. This area looks a little bit better. Then over here at this station, I think we're going to redo this one. And this is going to end up being another one of these. So we'll have this have the concrete platforms. And we'll bring it all the way back to where the other one was. So we'll bring it pretty much all the way back to here. We will have to extend the street connection roads. So just to, I guess something like this works. And we'll change these to dirt roads. And we'll have this come in like so. So I think that helps to add a little bit of character to this area. I think the dirt suits the farms much more than the paved truck stations. So we'll keep this. I'm not sure. I think we'll just leave this empty, really. And maybe we'll smooth it since it's a little bit messed up. But I think we can pretty much just leave this field as it is. And then coming to this last one, I think this one will also leave like so, and we'll just swap out the road for something that looks a bit more natural. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely better than it was before, as the asphalt without sidewalks meshes a lot nicer with this road than the one with sidewalks did. And I think that's pretty much all that we're going to be doing in terms of upgrading our old stations, at least in this video. So that's all that we're going to do in this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.